So when I worked in Silicon Valley, I would interview a lot of different people, and so I'm very familiar with the diversity of resumes and the way that people build their resumes and the type of information and how they express information in their resume. See, for me, when I write my resume, I'm very keen on proving myself. So the last thing I would ever do is include something on my resume that I didn't feel like an expert on. I'll certainly put things I've touched on there, but I'll be very clear that this is something that I have touched. And then I'll be very clear on these are the things that I will kick ass at. But that is not how most people do it. Most people don't really kick ass at much, so they want to kind of give the idea that they're like really good at stuff. So like there's so many resumes I've looked over that it's just like, yeah, you can do all this shit. So it's very often I would find myself kind of like, the interview process would almost go sideways where I was kind of like, I ended up like, first of all, not wanting to hire the person, but then I just sort of challenged them on their shit. Sort of like, why are you putting this all here? Like, you're kind of wasting my time by saying you can do all this when, like, just because you did like one Code Academy module on C++, it doesn't mean you're a C++ software engineer. Like, you don't know how to do that, so you shouldn't put that in your resume, and that's why I keep asking you about it. So shit like that. So that's pretty normal in like the private sector or any job environment. One place I didn't ever expect to actually see that happen is the office of the fucking presidency. But it seems like we officially just got our first overwritten resume president, right? So Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump. Everybody in his camp, everybody who is close to or associated with this camp was very open with the fact that Donald Trump and team was already writing their concession speeches, right? They knew they lost the election because they're not, like, they're business people, right? They work with numbers, they know trends, they can sense what way the wind's blowing, and they just knew that they didn't have enough there to beat Hillary. Now, what they didn't anticipate was that the recent DNC fraud from Hillary being pretty much the most corrupt and crooked person ever to participate in U.S. politics. Like, this lady probably does human sacrifices. Anyway, and I'm positive about that, actually. Cite me on that one. But anyway, so it's like, what he didn't anticipate is that her stealing the election from Bernie Sanders and the DNC and becoming like the most corrupted nominee that we've ever had because of that really left a bad taste in the mouths of like all voters. So unless you were sewing a penis on your vagina, SJW, fucking crazy purple-haired freako, or just somebody who's like part of that like establishment camp for Hillary Clinton, you were pretty much repulsed by the lady. Liberal, progressive, leftist, and of course everybody on the right. So like that's why Donald Trump won. He didn't win. Hillary lost, right? The Democrats lost the election, and then Donald Trump defaulted into that job. And he has been performing the same way somebody who had an overwritten resume and then got the job would be performing. Like shit. He's essentially, his whole job has become trying to keep his job, just like somebody with an overwritten resume. I think this recent shit that's come out about his like efforts to get some kind of like Moscow real estate development deal done kind of highlights my point exactly, right? So what happened there? So Donald Trump, he's from Queens, New York. My in-laws, my uncle and aunt-in-law, they live next door to Donald Trump's childhood home in Queens. I think Forest Meadows is the name of like the community over there. So I've been at his childhood home. It's a nice neighborhood, but it certainly is like upper middle class, right? A lot of like small business owners in there and everything. So like, he's a New York guy, and he had a friend who was from Brooklyn that he's known for a long time. Somebody Cohen, and that became Donald Trump's lawyer. Now Donald Trump's lawyer had another childhood friend from Brooklyn who was a Russian immigrant, somebody Slater. I want to call all these guys Michael, like Michael Cohen, Michael Slater. I don't know what their names are though. And those sound like TV actors or something. Anyway, Slater. Gosh, doesn't sound like a Russian name I know. I wonder if this is another one of those triple parentheses immigrants that we're gonna call Russian or whatever nationality they came from, while their names are Cohen. Don't sound very Russian to me. Anyway, I digress. So these people then, like this guy Slater, he's one of those people who, you know, he knows how to get a hold of Donald Trump, obviously, and he isn't a resume overwriter. So he goes and he tells Cohen that, like, yo, you know, you guys are trying to build some shit in Moscow, right? Well, Donald Trump is trying to become president. It would really help to have, you know, Vladimir Putin's support. And you know, if you're watching this and you're surprised to hear that, you are just somebody who has a very limited perspective, because you're not aware of the fact that not everybody feels the same way you do about every topic that's happening. And they might actually have their own reasons for why they feel that way. I once again digress. So this guy Slater, he goes out and he does the thing that we all try to do. He makes himself look better than he actually is. But the problem here is it's starting to become like a pyramid now, right? Where it's just like everybody's overselling themselves, because this whole thing is on an overwritten ticket. This whole presidency is overextended, right? Like, they didn't have the same political infrastructure that like a Hillary Clinton would have. So this Slater guy, he tries to make a promise to get himself in tight with the Trump campaign. He's like, you're trying to build all that shit in Moscow. I happen to be from Russia. I happen to have connections. I can get you in touch with Putin. He goes and he runs his mouth and he says all that shit. And of course Trump's lawyer's like, yeah, if we got, you know, some like paperwork filed for doing, you know, bringing some money and investment into Moscow, I bet you anything that's going to look very favorably for like all the Russian communities, all the Russian sympathizer communities, etc., etc. So what ends up happening? It turns out that this Slater guy had the exact same connections into Russia as I do, which is none. So it wasn't that he couldn't just get a hold of Putin. The advisor that he claimed to know of Putin's, he couldn't get a hold of. How did he try to reach this advisor? He had no way of actually contacting this guy. He didn't actually fucking know him. What did he do? He emailed this guy's help desk, like his customer support desk. The exact same thing you would do if you decided you had to contact this advisor for some reason. And not only does he email him over this total public channel that's probably being managed by an intern, this is leading up to a presidential election, and the subject of the email that this guy sends is Putin/Trump. Are you kidding me, dude? Holy shit, you should be impeached for that. You guys should all be fucking fired for that. How stupid are you? How stupid are you? Everybody knows that politicians engage other like national leaders leading up to elections to just be like, psst, psst, yo, okay, like regular voters are stupid. They don't understand that leading up to, say, controlling the world requires a little strategizing between the world leaders. So if I have like a 50% chance of becoming president, I better start making a couple phone calls right now, just in case I get that job. I better be ready to go and have some idea what I'm doing. So it's normal that politicians are going to start setting shit up in background channels. But this is why these people, this Trump administration, is not cut out to be politicians. And it fucking sucks, because I hate that you have to be this way to do it, but it's the fucking nature of the beast and you can't get around it, right? So this dumbass is literally being so open that, what do you think happened? What do you think happened when like the Russian advisor got that email in his fucking help desk inbox that says Trump/Putin or Putin/Trump? You think he brought that to Putin? He's like, yo, Putin, this looks like a great way to make Russia a big topic in US national media again, because obviously they're gonna find out about this because the dude sent a public email or a public channel to a fucking help desk that an intern read. You think this shit's not gonna get out? Like, are you crazy, dude? Have you ever cheated on your wife? Like, come on, bro. Like, use a little tact. Use a little tact. Like, what are you fucking thinking? Look, Hillary Clinton, that's a politician, right? What happened? She gets subpoenaed by the FBI. They say, you have to hand over an email server. We're doing an investigation. What does she do? She deletes the fucking server like you're supposed to. Because whatever was on that server was a million times more incriminating than whatever the fucking charges are going to be for destroying it. And she knew that. She knew plausible deniability is way better than no deniability. Okay? It's much better to let people speculate that you have, like, child sex rings than for them to actually prove it, right? So that's how politicians are supposed to operate. The fact that this guy... Oh, and when all's said and done, of course they never actually got that real estate deal done. Who the fuck would do that? The like Russian administration is like not stupid. They stayed in power in such a volatile part of the world for a long time now for a fucking reason. Putin's not stupid. Like, what is the fact that they thought that was like I can't get over that he just sent a plain text email with Putin Trump in the subject line to a fucking Putin advisor leading up to the US presidential election for a fucking private like development deal with Donald. Like the house. How? Like, these people gotta go, dude. Like, we need to have lizard people in charge again. Because at least they know how to lie, right? You know? Like, this is just too much. And what did Donald Trump discover when he got in office anyway? It doesn't matter what your ideals are, bro. This American system is full of momentum and inertia, and we're all just along for the ride. Because... as long as the Jews keep saying this is the way it goes, this is the way it fucking goes, man. And there's nothing we can do about it. Hillary, Donald, it all been the same. It all been the same. Donald Trump made all these promises, but look, we're gonna bomb North Korea. Look, we were talking about invading Syria. Look, it's the exact same fucking policies that Hillary's gonna have. Look, we sent more troops to Afghanistan. Nothing changed. It's the same shit Hillary was gonna do. And I don't even think that Donald Trump was being, like, duplicitous. I just think that he was being too fucking pie in the sky ideal, and then not taking it, not really thinking about what this is really like. And then he gets there and he's like, yo, I don't get to do anything because there's already a shitload of people from centuries of familial like incentives and you know like opportunity and ownership and everything. There's no changing that. This is the way it is, and I gotta either help them keep doing things the way that they're doing, or I'm gonna take a bullet in the back of the head. So, food for thought. I don't know if we should impeach the guy. I think we should just take a lesson out of, you know, maybe it's not the worst idea that somebody is a career politician. As disgusting as Hillary Clinton is, as glad as I am that she isn't president, I do think we sort of dodged a bullet there. It is interesting that on the contrast flip side, we did get this experience of seeing what happens when we just bring in some random ass guy who's charismatic to try to do one of the shadiest jobs that has ever existed on this earth. So, lizard people, we welcome you back as our fucking overlords. Peace out. Brian off.